All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about a very particular kind of failure. It's almost invisible. It's not the kind that comes from a lack of talent or not trying hard enough. No, this failure comes from the one thing we're all taught to value the most, our own intelligence. And you see, this isn't the story of someone who just gave up or, never even tried. It's something darker. It's the story of that person, the one everyone expected greatness from, the one whose own brilliant mind, very quietly and devastatingly, turned against them. See, we're not talking about bad luck here or things happening to them. This is all about an internal process. We're kind of going to investigate why the people with the most potential so often find themselves just stuck, paralyzed, their incredible promise just unfulfilled. So how does that even happen? Well, let's peel back the first layer of this problem. We'll call it the overthinking trap. This is the part where intelligence, the very thing we think of as this incredible advantage, actually becomes the blueprint for a prison inside your own head. For most of history, we've had this simple belief, right? The smarter you are, the better your life's going to be. But what modern psychology is telling us now, it's a very different and honestly a deeply uncomfortable story. It turns out, beyond a certain point, a really high IQ can start to hollow out the very things that make life worth living. Things like relationships, contentment, even just the basic ability to do something. Okay, this right here. This really gets to the heart of the mechanism inside the mind. So, on one side, you've got the average mind. It runs a few mental simulations, weighs the obvious choices, and just moves forward pretty quick. But the highly intelligent mind? Whoa, it runs hundreds of simulations. And here's the kicker. It does it involuntarily. It can't help it. It maps out every single outcome, finds every flaw, every single way something could go wrong. And what's the result? Paralysis. It's not indecision. Not really. It's pure cognitive overload.
And there's a name for this whole phenomenon. And it's perfect. The paradox of choice. Think about that for a second. The mind's greatest strength, its ability to generate endless possibilities, becomes its greatest weakness. The irony is just brutal. The mind is doing exactly what it's designed to do, and in the process, it completely destroys its host's ability to just move. But you know what? Overthinking, that's really just the surface. The cognitive trap is only part of the story. Beneath that, there's a much, much deeper wound, one that almost always starts way back in childhood. And that brings us to the curse of the gifted child. I want you to picture this moment. It's the very first time someone calls a kid gifted. In that instant, something fundamentally shifts. Their intelligence stops being something they do, an action, a result of effort, and it becomes something they are. It becomes their entire identity, a fixed label. And that right there is where the real damage begins.
And this quote, man, it just hits so hard because it distills everything down perfectly. For a gifted child, making a mistake isn't just a mistake. It's an identity collapse. Think about that. If your whole identity is built on being the smart one, then any failure feels catastrophic. It's not about getting an answer wrong. It's about feeling like your entire self, are a complete fraud. So what does a smart, rational mind do when it's faced with a threat to its very existence? Well, it avoids it, of course. These brilliant people, they just stop trying things that might expose them. They retreat into this comfortable mediocrity, but they dress it up in really sophisticated language. They tell themselves and everyone else that they're choosing not to try, when the truth is, they're just terrified to find out they might not be as smart as everyone thinks. Okay, so we've got the overthinking trap and we've got this deep-seated fear of failure. But that's still not the whole picture. There's another trap, and this one is way more subtle. It's what happens when you have total and complete confidence in your own intellect. It creates these brilliant blind spots in every other part of your life. I bet you know this person. Maybe you are this person. The brilliant analyst who is just baffled by emotion. They have this razor-sharp mind, and they try to apply cold, hard logic to human relationships. And they just can't understand why their connections keep failing, why people are so irrational. They are genuinely confused when their perfectly logical solutions don't fix messy emotional problems. Or how about this one? The intellectual who just can't seem to feel. The person who intellectualizes every single emotion before they let themselves actually experience it. They can describe their anxiety to you in perfect clinical detail, but they can't just sit with the feeling itself.
They have to turn it into an abstract concept, something to be analyzed and then neatly filed away.
And finally, there's the visionary, the one who sees any kind of disagreement not as feedback, but as a direct personal attack on their identity. For them, being wrong about an idea feels exactly the same as being a fundamentally flawed person. You see the pattern here? They are failing precisely because of how completely, how utterly they trust their own mind.
So, what's the way out? How do you break a cycle like this? Well, the answer is probably not what you'd expect. It's not another book or some new productivity hack or a smarter strategy. You can't think your way out of a problem that thinking itself created. No, the way out, it's much simpler and also much, much harder.
So here's the path forward. It's basically a 3-step process. Step 1 is what we'll call chosen difficulty. That means deliberately putting yourself in situations where you know your intelligence won't be enough to succeed, where you're guaranteed to struggle. Step 2, feel without translating. Learning to just experience an emotion without your brain immediately jumping in to convert it into a neat little concept. And finally, the most radical step of all, completely redefining the purpose of your intelligence. And that first step, chosen difficulty, is so incredibly important. Here's why. You have to literally prove to your own nervous system that failure isn't the end of your identity. It's about retraining that deep, gut-level fear response. It's about showing yourself through real experience again and again that you can fail, you can be wrong, you can be totally out of your depth, and you will still be okay. You will still be whole. And really, this all leads to the ultimate shift in perspective. As long as your intelligence is being used as a shield, something to protect your identity, it will always, always turn on you. It becomes a cage. But if you can change its purpose, if it becomes a tool to connect with the world, to build things, to serve something bigger than your own ego, then it finally becomes what it was always meant to be. So I'm going to leave you with a question to sit with. If your intelligence isn't a cage, if you stop using it as a shield or a fortress, then what is it? What is it for?